Is this thing working? Are we live? I think we're live. I don't know how long this thing's going to work tonight, guys. You know, I don't know what the deal is with the connection on this. Great internet connection, but anyway, flaky on the YouTube side. Doesn't matter what's happening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. So a little bit different show tonight. I am kind of in the middle of working on stuff. And so I figured I'd bring you guys along for the ride, maybe talk to y'all a little bit about what I'm up to, what's going on with, say, whichever bike that I happen to be wheeling over here at the time. Also give you guys a chance to interact with me and with each other. I'll talk a little bit about some of the modifications that I will be doing and that I have done to the GSX-R 750. And talk about maybe some upcoming bikes that I'll be doing reviews on. It's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. Keeping it to a bit of a short show tonight. Also, again, just because I'm working on this stuff, you may see me run out of frame and then come back, and it'll just be this bare bike sitting here doing nothing. Anyway, that's what I'm up to. And again, just bringing you guys along for the ride. This is a side of the show I think a lot of folks don't ever get to see. Well, I know you don't, because I never bring you out here. So we're going to hang out, work on this thing together. If you got questions or whatever, grab a beverage. Beverage of the evening tonight is, of course, the Dr. Pepper. So at any rate, Ryan is first in. What is going on? And if you're new to the channel, this is basically my chance to talk about behind the scenes stuff for, say, a ride along video or for a review. It's also my chance to talk about topics that maybe didn't really fit well within the narrative of like a normal video, which is long form of me not really being able to put a video together, at least not in any good way. The other thing is that I get a chance to interact with you guys directly. So let's see. Here we go. Ryan's checking in saying, "Sup, Professor, did the marble mod after I watched the video. Went to Michael's, the marble. Very nice." That damn clamp was ready for space. So what Ryan's talking about is there is a clamp on the back side, on the right side, that holds the pair valve or the secondary air injection valve hose to the air box. And in the video, I'm talking about using any kind of locking plier and a magnet, because if that thing decides to check out, there's no accounting for where that thing's going to end up. And just ask me how I know. I was in there poking and prodding with a magnet trying to get it out, because I tried to fish it out with my fingers and ended up pushing it. I don't know, parts unknown. I got lucky. But anyway, yeah, that's why I wanted to include that. But yeah, again, just talking about the stuff that I'm working on tonight. And also too, you know, this channel really isn't nothing more than a background noise generator anyway. So, but yeah, that is what we're up to. So let me go ahead and get the upper box and get that started to install on this bike. We're also going to be talking to Thowie's over here. We're going to do a little bit of work to that one tonight as well. I'm going to talk a little bit. We can talk about air filters. This is one thing that comes up a lot with these bikes. Am I going to run an aftermarket filter? What about velocity stacks? I'll talk a little bit about that too, mainly because it's a topic that does come up regularly, and I want to chat about that. The other thing is, what about aftermarket levers for the GSX-R 750? Do I still like the stock levers, or are aftermarket levers maybe in the future for this bike? So let me go get the upper lid. I'll let y'all hang out with each other for just a second. Hold, please. Pretty please. So y'all are going to like this. These newer bikes, the center bolts on the upper box are ridiculously deep in there. And so you got to get a little bit crafty with your screwdriver. Also got to make sure I don't complete a circuit over here on this battery. Let's see, getting this, there we go, get her set down just fine. So as far as aftermarket filters go, for these modern bikes, I don't really know that I see a whole lot of benefit to them. Most guys will say that, you know, they'll add something, right? They'll add something to top end or whatever. But guys, I haven't seen that in person, at least not yet. And to be fair, you got to remember, I'm the guy that used to port the intake manifolds for all the Hemi applications. And one of the issues that I would see, in fact, it was kind of a point of contention for me with the shops that I was doing the porting for. It was painfully obvious which ones of those manifolds had some kind of cold air kit, if you want to call it that. And what was so obvious about it was just how much dirt and debris and just miscellaneous crap you'd find. And it was bad. It was bad enough to where I would have to sometimes take those manifolds to the car wash, the 5.7s, because they don't have any moving parts in them. Take them to the car wash and blast them out with a pressure washer. Let's see, checking with you guys again. DM is in. Got the ball guy with the flex and the specs. I like it. Ryan saying, been looking at the Royal Enfield Continental GT and maybe 850 big bore kit to scratch the M6 Cafe Racer itch. I tell you what. So let's talk about that bike for a minute. Look, there, guys, I'll be perfectly honest. I'm really bad about like falling in love with some of the bikes that I ride, and I really should probably work on that. Maybe I have abandonment issues. Anyway, I do though. I find myself falling in love with a lot of bikes. One of the motorcycles that I was taken by quite a bit was the Continental GT, and the reason for that is just because of how much fun that bike was to ride in general. I mean, you know, it's one thing when the bikes are fast or when they have some kind of an overwhelming, you know, some kind of an overarching quality about them. They're super fast. They've got some kind of crazy technology, or, you know, there's something else like that. They handle really well. The Royal Enfield is creepy in a way because you get on the bike and immediately you are transported to 1975, right? There's nothing modern about that motorcycle except for fuel injection. And if it weren't for the fuel injection, there's nothing modern about that bike. I mean, everything about it is just so old school in its approach, and you're just transported back. And the weird thing about it is, man, it is every bit as exciting to ride one of those 650s as it is to ride some of these more modern sport bikes. Now, no, of course not. It doesn't have the same performance envelope, not even remotely close. But when you're going down the highway at 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, you're going down the highway at that speed on whatever it is that you're riding. If you're just out in the B and C roads and you're really not trying to carry a hard, heavy, crazy clip, it will still do that. And even though you will find yourself doing that a lot on a modern sport bike, the Royal Enfield at a 50% clip is just more exciting. It's more engaging. It's giving you all this crazy feedback, and it's doing little twitches, and it's making all these different noises, and it's a lot of fun. And it's weird because the Royal Enfield bikes are motorcycles that will cure you of having any ego issues when it comes to bikes. I can tell you that for sure. Ryan saying at the lower speeds, the Cafe Racer is more nimble and it's lighter, so less power doesn't seem less. Yeah, the thing is that they are at lower speeds. They're just flickable. They're drop-in flickable. They don't really weigh a whole lot. They don't feel like they weigh a lot because of that smaller tire. So I got to go get a light real quick. I'll be right back. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about with that. You know, we're not put that damn light anyway. Oh, I think I know where it is. I think I put it over here. Did I put it over here? I don't even know where I put that damn thing. Anyway, getting back to it, the Royal Enfield bikes, like I say, you will not be able to have, you won't be able to have an ego on those bikes. And I think that's one of the more fun aspects about it. Plus, they're not very expensive. So for me, that makes a big difference too, because it means that motorcycling is and a fun experience, like a fun experience while on a bike is accessible to more people. And I think that anything that gets folks on a bike, anything that gets anybody on a motorcycle is a very good thing. So for whatever reason, folks tend to kind of, I don't want to call it, this is more of an American problem, not a European or Southern Hemisphere issue, but a lot of people shit on Royal Enfield, and I can't understand that. But like I say, it's a weird world that we live in when you'd hand somebody the keys to a bike that is just a lot of fun to ride, and somebody would come back with some kind of a shitty attitude behind it. Too bad, really. But no, I've been having nothing but fun lately, guys, with the bikes that I've been riding, and that Royal Enfield was one of the more fun ones. Yeah, Brian's talking about it being novel, like it's just like an old World War II bike. Yeah, well, that's very much. I mean, there's not a whole lot that separates that bike's chassis geometry from anything that you would have seen in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Literally nothing separates them in that respect. Or I should say, not enough to dampen the experience. That's for sure. Trying to get this airbox, the top of this airbox aligned, and I guess I didn't have it seated just right, and I always get a little bit sketched out when I'm putting these screws in, because it's metal going into plastic, and you don't want to like over tighten it. You also want to make sure you don't gack it up and cross thread it. So that is what we are doing. Notice I'm not using a electric drill either. The little electrics, even the spinnies. I don't typically use those. Had bad experiences with that. I've actually a long time ago, I wrecked an airbox with one of those in a bad way. So anyway, we're going to get this bike buttoned up. But getting back to it, air filter for this thing. We're going to keep it stock, and realistically, I'm having a lot of fun with this bike in a way where I don't really need or want any more power, I guess. But one of the things that I am absolutely needing out of this bike, and I'm hoping that the tune is going to solve most of this, is this partial throttle. And I tried to illustrate this in a fairly recent video where I've got the bike on the side of the tire, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to illustrate pouring on power with this bike. And the problem that I have is that it's just got this freaking flat spot, and what I guess you would call, like, it's right in the worst part of the mid-range. It's like looking at the tach, it's probably around like 8,000 or 9,000 RPM. Right as you kind of need it the most for the drive. You're getting the bike, it's on the side of the tire, you're getting it straight up, and you need that drive out. That just when you need it the most, it's not there. Now, I get it. And it would be easy to say, and I would probably argue the same thing. Look, I am used to riding the GSXR 1000, which has no problem with horsepower drive toward anywhere in its RPM range. I mean, no kidding, right? It's freaking Gixxer 1000. But that being said, this is Gixxer 750, and I used to own one. And that bike, and I do need to get my light for this because I can't see a damn thing in that hole. Ah, here it is. By the way, if y'all ever want a light that will last you until like the heat death of the universe, I have had this Sure-Built rechargeable light. It's a LED front, LED other front, whatever. Anyway, I've had this thing for forever. It was lost for about 2 years in my attic. I can't remember when I bought this thing, but I mean, it still just absolutely shines. Anyway, no, it still kicks ass, and I can't imagine my life without this thing. Again, I've had other lights that just were nothing near as good as it. Paid more money than this thing too. I need to go get some more of these, but yeah, this thing, absolutely love these lights. You guys might have one of these too. You can stand it up. It's got the thing, and it's also got the magnet. It's got the hook. You can hang the thing. I don't know. Haven't tried to find another one, but I need to at some. It's pretty bright too. I need to at some point. These the screws down here for the down here in the middle of this air box are just obnoxious. And these are the ones that I'm always the most worried about screwing up. There we go. But, oh, am I ever going to get to the finish my point on these air cleaners? So, getting back to it, I'm going to keep the stock filter, and it's because of filtration. If there was a significant power difference, I would probably consider going with an aftermarket air filter, but I went back to the stock air filter for the 1000. And again, the reason why I went back to the stock is there's no gain to go with the aftermarket filter so far as I can tell anyway. You check in with you guys. Ryan saying eyeballing the big bore kit for that Royal Enfield. Donald Powers is in. Good day, Donald. Let's see. Check back in with you guys. Oh, DM's talking about the velocity stacks. Man, I got to tell you something. I don't think that this one's going to get velocity stacks just because I had kind of a crappy experience with the Carbon Smiths. I ended up going back to the stock velocity stacks because the Carbon Smith, and this happened on 2 different sets of Carbon Smith. Well, shit, let me go grab one. I'll show you exactly what happened. So, and I know the other ones are billet, and you guys may have heard me talk about this. This is kind of I don't know about that. That's a little bit sketch level 10 p.m. But anyway, if you look at these things, they do flex a little bit, right? Now, this isn't a big deal. This is the part that slips into that throttle body. You can see there's a little lip right here that helps it seat, or that is what makes it seat. What was happening is, and these are 3D printed, what was happening is when I had set them in the airbox with just the slightest amount of torque, it was sitting this way. This one in particular would get this weird bulge in it, and it would just kind of, I don't know, it was deforming, and just had a bad experience with it. And I don't know if it was when it got hot. I don't know what the deal was, but I would pull the bike apart, and then I would see the issue, try to unbolt it, try to just barely put the thing on there with no real like force at all. And anyway, I kind of gave up on the on the experiment, went back with the factory velocity stacks. And I noticed two things right away. With the factory velocity stacks, I like the bottom end fueling of the Carbon-Smith velocity stacks better than with the factory stacks. But that being said, the factory stacks have better partial throttle response and have better mid throttle input power delivery. So, and whether or not they make more power on the big end, it's just a difference in shift point. There's not a huge difference in outright power, maybe one or two, but that is so far to the right on the graph that I don't really know that it's worth it. To me, the bike felt like it made more power at 13,000 with the velocity stack, or with the stock velocity stacks, and with the aftermarket velocity stacks. It might have had better over rev, but it didn't ever really feel like it made more power. It just might have had a little bit better over rev. That's about it. Skids is in. What up, man? Let's see. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Oh, Skid's talking about that Royal Enfield has an incredible rumble to it. Yeah. I'll tell you what. This little girl back over here, the T120 with that British Customs, I would make a terrible meteorologist. With the British Customs exhaust on it. Man, I got to tell you, I don't know of a better sounding twin. You know, these parallel twins with a 270 sound amazing with exhaust. And that Royal Enfield would be absolutely no exception to that rule. Skid saying, listen to B Mason whilst chilling in my garage, sipping on a topo. I like it. Yeah, we are working on this thing right now. About to wrap up this little section of it again, just getting the lid back on the airbox. Yes, I'm still going to run. Oh, God, I'm never going to get to this air filter thing. So, look, here's the thing. I know how kind of crappily that the aftermarket filters can filter air. I'm the guy that used to have to clean those intake manifolds up. Now, here's the thing. As far as just making more power in general, not really, because the whole purpose of putting a performance intake manifold and a performance filter in your intake manifold, any type of modification that helps you bring in more air, it's only going to be beneficial if the stock components are truly restricted. In some cases they are, but you've got to be able to measure the vacuum that is in the airbox or the vacuum that is, say, in the intake manifold itself to find out if it is significantly different than atmospheric. If it is, then you do have a restriction. For example, carburetors. Most carburetors don't even work well at wide open throttle unless they've got about say half an inch of mercury as far as a vacuum underneath them, which is to say that you're running the vehicle with less than ideal conditions going into the cylinder. That vacuum helps to atomize fuel, get everything mixed up and all of that. But anything less than that, the atomization goes bad. So even though the pumping efficiency goes up, the atomization goes down. And so in knowing all of that, these filters are gigantic. I mean, the factory filter in this thing, I mean, it's bigger than my head, you know, this way. It's a big ass filter. So even if the media itself were more restrictive, which it ain't, but even if it were, there's so much surface area that air molecules can find their way in there. So I'd rather have the filter capacity and the same power than try to get away with something with a lesser filter capacity, only to find out that, well, it didn't really pick up any power and I'm going to be ingesting a bunch of funk into this engine, which nobody wants. Limestone squirrel. Yeah, I know, right? Ryan saying he's trying to plot a way to get the infield without the wife finding out. Bring it over here. I'll watch it for you, bro. I'll keep her warmed up for you too. I love the infield. I'll tell you what, I'm not kidding. That green 650 Continental GT, That bike damn near came home with me. I'm not kidding. I could have got it cheap. I mean, cheap. I could have got that bike. I should have bought it. Damn, I'm a dummy for not doing it. I really felt dumb. Okay. Fun fact about that bike. That Royal Enfield got bought, and the guy that bought it traded another Royal Enfield for it. And it got sold it was almost 2 weeks to the day after I posted that review. And I had gone back to Stubbs a couple of times, and I'd ridden a couple of other bikes, had walked past the infield, and then walked into the dealership with full intentions on buying it, and it sold like 2 days before I got to it. So, I mean, that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but it was just kind of funny how that worked out. So, but yeah, that Royal Enfield, I liked it quite a bit. One of the things I liked a lot about the Royal Enfield versus the T120 is the fact that it was so light. You know, it did offer up a more dedicated riding position. Again, I like the lighter weight aspect of it. And, but I got to tell you, as far as power goes, it's making way less, right, than the T120. But man, I'll be dang. Look, I'm not going to say that it made more, and I felt like it made more. It didn't, but it didn't feel like it made a lot less. The power difference just didn't really translate on that bike. Certainly felt like it was quicker than a T100, any of the 900cc variants. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That Conti felt legit quicker than the T100 or that 100 Scrambler. And keep in mind, I really like that Scrambler. So, and I get it. It all has to. There's always some kind of like a brand prestige thing. You know, it's like, it's a Royal Enfield. Yeah, it's a freaking Royal Enfield. And I think a lot of that's being lost. I think a lot of that's been lost in the sauce, so to speak. And I think a lot of this brand loyalty is starting to fall by the wayside just because these other manufacturers are starting to become really good at what they do. Yeah, Skids, when it comes to a P-Twin, it's real hard to beat the Triumph bikes. Ryan said, I shouldn't have ridden it. Now I want a cafe again, for sure. Ryan said the dealer that I was at said he'd get it for $6,700 before taxes. It's red, not green, which wish it was green, though. The red looks good, too. That's right, Ryan. So the big bore kit and the cams and everything else take it from 47 to about 80. I think, yeah, it's somewhere in that neighborhood. And I mean, it would haul ass. It would be a killer bike. Look, and here's the other thing. You know, it's just like anything else. I have found more and more that, you know, I don't, when it comes to bikes like that, right? Like you'll never ever, what the fuck was that? You'll never hear me pick one of those bikes apart. I feel like they don't deserve it. You know, they don't deserve to be, because they offer up such a cool and different riding experience that they don't, it's just kind of like it's in bad taste almost. Let me think, is there anything else I can do to this thing right now? I don't think so. I'm not going to worry about the 1,000 tonight. Oh, so what I was going to do with that is loosen up a little bit the actual mounting point on those ASV levers. Just making sure that they're not sticking. One of the things about any levers and stuff like that is you've got to have a little bit of play, right? So obviously I can reach down here. You can see the lever moving. The ASVs are a little bit tighter. Their tolerances are a little bit wider, I think, than the factory. And so they can get a little bit, not really of a stick, just a drag. And so I may play around with that a little bit, playing around with tension on that clutch lever. But the good thing is the ASV has so much adjustability. Now, as far as, am I going to change anything out on these? I don't know what it is about the GSX-R 750, but it's just how everything kind of falls in place. It's really good. About the only thing that I might do, though, is put levers on this bike for one odd reason. And that is that I don't have big hands. I just have maybe longer fingers or whatever. And the brake lever is as far out as I can get it. And even still, it'll land on my middle knuckle when I've got my hand wrapped around. Instead of being out here, it's a little bit more in here. And so there's nothing I can do about that from a settings point of view. It's as far out as it'll go. So I might go with the ASVs just to give me a little bit more throw so that I've got the lever hitting right on this part of my finger. That'd be the only real reason to put the levers on this bike, though, because it's really good. The other thing was, am I going to go with a quick throttle on this bike? Well, I was, but the problem ended up being that this is the same problem that I had with the Katana. I can't get enough slack in the throttle cable without digging into the adjuster down here at the actual throttle bodies themselves to give me anywhere near enough slack to get that tube on there. So does it need it? I don't know if it needs it. It'd be kind of nice to have, but for right now, I ain't gonna mess with it. It's just fine. Look, again, this bike, it will see track days, not roll racing at some point, I'm sure, but it's not a roll race bike. And I don't need to make wide open throttle shifts. Well, I always make let me reset. I can still fan gears just fine. I don't necessarily need a quick shifter for this bike. And where I'm going with the quick shifter versus the throttle thing is if you're pinned with the throttle, it's a lot easier just to click up and it's easier to ride with a quick shifter. But I kind of like having that old school feel to it also. So the throttle having a little bit more of a turn to it might not necessarily be a bad thing. Because rarely am I in a position off the bike where I would need wide open throttle. I'm typically transitioning over and then I just roll my hand back for wide open. But so between not having a quick shifter kind of takes away a need for me to have a throttle tube anyway, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Let's see. Let me check back in with you guys. Madeira, what is up? Madeira's asking, what do you think? What do you think? Oh, talking about something with Dodge. I don't know. I don't really care, honestly. I'll be honest with you. And I don't mean to be ugly. I'm not trying to be rude. But Dodge has got their own problems. And the car thing, the car scene, there's not really a lot that I can speak on anymore with that. I think Dodge if you want to talk about it real quick, like I say, I'm kind of moving away from car content, but what Dodge needed to do needs to do is something that you've heard me say this over and over again. We were supposed to get a 4-cam V8 from Chrysler, and that was going to be like their version of the Coyote. They ended up not going through with the development or something happened or whatever. It was just cheaper to keep making the Hemi. And the problem is that we don't have a modern engine to do anything good with. You're saying that Ford's been doing well with the 7.3, but it's not in a car. That's a truck. And yeah, Ford makes parts to swap that into their cars, but that's from an enthusiast standpoint. And quite frankly, I'm not even there with that. I mean, I don't need a 7.3 why have cubic inches when you can have boost? And the argument to that is why not have both? Well, because of expense, because big power breaks expensive parts. And that's the other thing is when we're talking about outright power and what people can get out of these engines. I mean, I mean, it's only a pocketbook away that you can make anything fast. There's guys going 7s with Coyotes, and there's guys going 7s with just shitty LS stuff. I mean, it's not about fast anymore, and it's not about speed. All of those walls have been blown through a long time ago. Dodge just needs to get their act together and build products that people will actually buy, or more, and don't worry about V8 stuff. If they are going to worry about V8, though, figure it out. I will be bringing you guys a video, though, on a car that Dodge could have already built. Dodge could have easily put this car together, and Dodge would be so much better for the effort if they did. It would incorporate the Hurricane 6. It would have nothing to do with the V8. I don't care. V8, 6, 4-cylinder. I don't care about that. What I care about is performance, how to make it go fast. What can I do to it to have fun, fast, and reliable, long-term great performance? Well, there's a car that was made in 2015. And again, I'm going to be bringing this car to you. I'm going to be kind of pointing and showing you where it is, in essence, what Dodge would have made. It's got a ZF transmission. It's front engine. It's rear drive. It's got 2 doors. Makes really good power. This is something that Dodge could have made with the parts that they already have, and they chose not to. So I'll be bringing that to you very soon. But with that, guys, I have got to wrap up. I will be back to doing Two Wheel Tuesdays on Tuesday. And what I will be doing is probably going live around 9:30-ish, I think. We're going to kind of play around with that a little bit and see if that works out. That seems to have worked out before with being able to slide into YouTube via a live. One of the issues with doing a live show is that if there's a lot of traffic on YouTube, live shows get punted. So we will do that. Ryan's wanting Wings Wednesday. The airplane motor history. I'll tell you what, I may do a couple of those. We can talk about the Allison 1710. We can talk about the Merlin. We can talk, I don't really want to get too deep into like the rotary engines and stuff like that, because those things just make me kind of ill. But we can talk about some of the earlier engines like the Hall Scotts, for the earlier civil and the military aviation side, and what made them so cool, and why it is that, you know, technology that we see even in this motorcycle right here, they had even higher tech engines well over 100 years ago, and how that technology evolved throughout time for the higher power output of, again, like the Allisons, the Merlins, and the ones that you guys know and love. The old radial pistons, we will be talking about that too, for sure. But we'll get to that. I just got to brush up a little bit on my timelines of the engines. Now, like I might remember when a Wright engine was developed, but I might forget like how it fell in line with the timeline and how it corresponds with its counterparts from BMW and Benz from the same time period. So that's the part I need to brush up on, because some of them I get a little bit backwards. But with that, guys, I got to wrap it up. Listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. I'm going to get this thing put back in the stable. Y'all have a great one. Hope to catch you on the next one.